How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my workshop. Don't mind me just checking some levels. And the bad news is Datadol did not do it for me. In fact, not only did Datadol not do it for me, I kind of went 0 and 3. Technically 1 and 4 because 1 and 3 because I have one bye. And honestly, there was just some bad matchups and it was not pretty. So let's open this pack. Let's look over our Datadol list and explain what's going on. I said I would still do a deck tech on it, and I will. And let's see if we can wash our woes away by pulling something cool. Probably not in this pack, though. Assault and Battery, that's what happened to me. Clash of Agility, and Knucklehead. So no, sadly the pack's not in it. So let's look at my deck and see what's going on here. What my thought process was and all that fun stuff. First off, I am going to make changes to this deck. And I guess the first question should be, what are we doing next? Well, I'm going to change the deck, then I'm going to put this deck on the shelf and save it for next time I play Blitz, if I ever play playing Datadol. But besides that, I'm just going to move on. Move on to DO, move on to... Actually, to be honest, I've been playing Teklo a lot, and he's been way more fun than he should be. And yeah, we're gonna continue on. Like, losses, don't let it get you down. It's still a fun game, win or lose. And sometimes the cards are not in your favor. I will say there was another Datadol there as well. He also didn't do as well. In fact, I lost to him round 1. It was a great mirror match. The mirror match was amazing. I almost had it in the bag, and he pulled off an attack when I had an all-item hand. Womp womp. So what we're going to do, we're going to open February, and we're also going to we're going to look at February and compare the changes to what I have here. So hang on a second. Alright, I got it opened up, and before we do that, let's look at what's in the deck versus what I'm adding to the deck and taking out. First off, I have Heavy Industry Ram Stop in my deck. The reason why I ran this instead of Adaptive Plating was because I felt that the ability to block with items from hand kind of was better than having an arm piece that would block only if you have items on the field. That was my thought process, and there are some arguments for running this versus Adaptive Plating. And there's also the whole jank of running this with Backup Protocol Red, which was actually a really fun combo. Let's see, Backup Protocol Red, which should be in every Datadol deck. Backup Protocol Red is an item that says, instant, pay 2, return a Mechanologist attack action card from your graveyard to your hand. Heavy Industry Ram Stop is an arm piece that says, pay 1, this gets +1 to end of turn. What you could do is you can block with this, pay the 1 with a blue, and you'll block for 2, and then activate Backup Protocol Red to get a card back into your hand from your graveyard. It was a great way to guarantee having a boost card in your hand, so you can get your 0 to 60, your Expedite Red, your Data Link Red, or your Fast and Furious into your hand and have a guaranteed boost card. But from what I've seen, what I've played, the Adaptive Plating is just overall better. It blocks for 3, no strings attached besides having the item. And when you have an item like Cerebellum, which is out of Steam counters and is just sitting on your field, not doing anything, you might as well destroy it. In fact, in my game against Datadol, I destroyed my Cerebellum when it had no Steam counters on a tick-tock clock because it was going to go away at the beginning of my turn anyways. It got the extra 1 damage in, and I never saw another Fast and Furious to recharge it, so it made perfect sense. So you could still run this. If you don't have an Adaptive Plating, you can run this. It works pretty good for Armory level, and even Skirmish level, there's arguments for it. But from moving forward, I'm going to stick with Adaptive Plating. I think it's a better card overall. The other cards I'm taking out are Data Link Blue, which is in there as a boost card. Also, it's a blue. Locked and Loaded, which is kind of jank, but it gave an attack +3. And if you played it after a boost, you got the Opt, which is really good for Datadol. It didn't come up as much as I wanted to. And then the last thing, I'm taking out Boom Grenade Blue and replacing it with Penetration Script. Penetration Script is just a decent card. I didn't run it because in testing, it always ran out before I got to use it. But honestly, the +1 to all your attacks might just beat the 2 damage from a Boom Grenade Blue. Plus, the grenade has to hit for it to work, or as Penetration Script just activates right away. This turns your 0 for 3s even better, which is why I'm adding T-Bone in here to replace Locked and Loaded. Now that T-Bone can attack for 4, it's better. And Zipper Hit is just there because I couldn't think of anything else, and to be honest, 1 for 5 is pretty good, especially if you're doing 1 attack a turn. If you're doing 1 to 2 attacks a turn, the better the breakpoint, the better. So 1 for 5, better than 1 for 4. So yeah, that's in there now. With that said, let's go ahead and look at the deck. Let's go to remove my camera. Pop. And let's look at this deck list. So the changes already made on this deck list. I already added adaptive plating. We ran the heavy industry gear shift. It is a block 1. You can banish 2 cards from top of your deck to gain 2 action points. Pretty good for Data Doll, especially if you can opt to top of your deck and see what you have. Heavy industry surveillance is just a card that made Data Doll, well, good. Blocks for 2 first time, 1 second time, banishes 2 cards, and if you're lucky, it banishes 2 items. Talishar, because there's really no other weapon. There's Plasma Barrel Shot, but outside of fatigue matches, there's really no point in running it. Doing 12 damage or threatening 12 from 3 attacks is just better. And then Teklo Foundry Heart, which kind of makes the deck work. You're going to attack with your 0-cost boost card, activate Teklo Foundry Heart, banish 2 more cards. You're already banishing 3 cards. Hopefully all of them are items. Hopefully one of them's Optical Monocle, and then you just kind of start your, start your avalanche to victory from there. The deck itself, 2 copies of Backup Protocol Red. This really helps you get your attack actions back. You only have 20 of them. Getting them back should be pretty good. Boom Grenade Red and Yellow. We took the blues out. Boom Grenade is a card that says if an attack action card hits, deal X more damage, where the red is 4 and the yellow is 3. Really good for dominate attack. Speaking of which, Convection Amplifier. Remove a steam counter from it to give your next attack action card dominate. And since you have attacks like Zipper Hit, which I'm showing you but the camera's not on it, you can dominate your Zipper Hit, come in 1 for 5 dominate, and your opponent has to block with armor unless they want the boom grenades to go off. Data Link Red's your generic 0 for 3 boost card. All classes have it. Your 0 for 3 go again. But the fact that Ops is pretty helpful as well. Dissolving Shield just says, I block 3 more times. And it's a good crank target if the opportunity ever comes up. Besides that, it blocks 3. Drive Through Data is 1 for 4, same as Data Link. It's just gonna attack, hopefully hit, and you get to opt. Expedite is a 0 for 3, and if it hits and you have an item in your hand, you get to play that item for free. Fast and Furious is basically your 0 to 60 at home. It attacks for 3, but if you crank this turn, it attacks for 4. And this also counts when you crank an item from the banish. So let's say you attack with Fast and Furious for 3, banish a boom grenade off the top. If you crank that boom grenade, that counts, and your Fast and Furious is now coming in for 4 instead of 3. This is before the defense step, though, so your opponent still has the opportunity to block it. Unlike with Dio, where you can play it during your attack reaction step. But still not bad. Outpace is really a secret Chad card. This thing ignores armor. And I've had it played against me, and I played it against opponents. And it's just fun when you throw at them, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll block with my Crown of Providence. And you're like, no. Read the card. Oh. And you have how many boom grenades out? Yeah, no, I should probably block that. Outpace 1 for 4, can't be blocked by equipment. Sprocket Rocket is one of those 0 for 60s at home. It attacks for 3, but if you banish an item, it comes in for 4. Pretty good. T-Bone, I added to the deck. It's 0 for 3. It does not get a +1, but It does force your opponent to block with equipment. Now, usually this just means blocking with something like, let's see, Goliath Gauntlet or some other zero block, no blade break armor. But sometimes you're up against an opponent who has temper or blade break, and it's a good way to force them to choose what to block with. And Rangers hate this card. Underloop is just a way to keep from decking out. If it hits, it goes to the bottom of your deck. It's a good dominate target because it forces your opponent to block with armor. Otherwise, it's just a good card. 0 to 60 is the best mech card ever. 0 for 4, go again. Zipper Hit, the second best mech card ever. 1 for 5, go again. Penetration Script, as I said before, add it to the deck. Gives all your attacks +1. You don't normally go too wide with Data Doll, but there are times you do. And if you can pull this off, it's pretty good. It's also a good crank target for the next card. Cerebellum Processor. This is the card that made Data Doll from meme to, well, a challenge. Unless I'm Belanger. Cerebellum Processor is a mechanologist item that says, action, draw a card. Now, it doesn't have go again. You might think, well, if it has no go again, what's the point? Cranking. Cranking an item from banishing gives you an action point. At 2 action points, you can draw a card. If you banish this item and crank it, you're at 2 action points. You can draw a card. And if you're lucky, you'll draw one of your 20 attack action cards. Get 2 of these in the field, you got a 5-card hand. Have a card in Arsenal, you got a 6-card hand. In Data Doll. Microprocessor is one of those makes the deck work cards. It has 3 actions, and all of them are pretty good. Usually you can use the opt one unless you have an item in hand. Draw a card when you have an item in hand is pretty good. You can guarantee an item on top of your deck unless you draw an item, which has happened a lot. And the last one, banishing a card, you do use it sometimes, especially with Optical Monocle, which comes up next, which says Optical Monocle has 5 steam counters. As an action, not once per turn, remove a steam counter, opt 1. You can do that 5 times per item. With 2 Optical Monocles, you can opt 10 times. That's almost half your deck by the time you get it. You're guaranteeing you have an item on top of the deck, or come end of your turn, you're guaranteeing you have an attack action when you draw your hand. And Teklo Pounder, which is just a good item. This comes in, all your attacks now attack for 2 more. And if you want the dream shoot the moon scenario, Penetration Script and Teklo Pounder gives your next attack +3. As for the sideboard, it's pretty straightforward. Tick-Tock Clock for your Data Doll and Dash database matchups. Tick-Tock Clock says that if an attack action card you control, I believe Mechanologist attack action card hits, destroy this and up to 2 items on the arena. Doesn't specify which side. This has to be 2 items. You could also argue this is good for Kasai as well. I didn't see any Kasais, as the gold does count as an item. Do that, they get 3 damage, otherwise it deals 1 damage to you. I've had it deal 1 damage to me. I've had it deal 3 damage to my opponent. The Solution Sphere is not going to be in most sideboards. It's in mine because I know there is a Florian player in my group who loves making rune chants, and really that's just there for him. That's the only reason I have it. The chances of it lining up are slim, but if that slim chance prevents you from dying through rune chants, it's there. Could also be good for Benji. I didn't think about that at the time, but yeah, this Solution Sphere says if you would be dealt exactly 1 damage, prevent it. Comes in with a steam counter, loses steam counter, does not have crank. Signal Jammer, this is entirely for Blaze. And yeah, maybe Ocilio, I'm not sure. I think Ocilio plays more instants. Signal Jammer says each player can only play 1 non-attack action per turn. And most wizards want to go wide with their non-attack actions on your turn. This hopefully stops them. It's a long shot, but it's something. Could also be used against warriors and rune blades, but I'm not sure how well this will work into Florian. For equipment, we got Achilles Accelerator, just Arcane Barrier. Plasma Barrel Shot, I put this in for my fatigue matchups, as I fatigued a few times on Datadol. As in, if you can't get your attacks to hit, it's a losing game. Or if you have banished 10 attack action cards from your banishes, it's all downhill from there, and you need a weapon that doesn't go away. And yeah, it's not the best. That's what we got. Sometimes you can attack for 4, but usually it attacks for 1 or 2. But at least you're not losing cards when you use it. Also, you can pitch an item into it and attack for 1 when you have an all-item hand. Seeker's Mitt is there for the arcane matchup. Really, it's just a block 1 and then opt 1. Right? Yeah. And then Visitronic is for the wizard matchup. I never had to use it, and in testing, I didn't like using it. Like I said before, Datadol wants to be greedy, and Visitronic and pitching in the Arcane Barrier is not greedy. But if you're going to die, well, yeah. Better to live with no cards in hand than die to arcane damage. And that's it. That's my Datadol deck. At least a new one. Will I play it again? Probably. It's a pretty fun deck. I like it. I didn't do well in Skirmish, and I feel kind of bad, but what are you going to do? Let's change the camera around. Turn that off. And what are you going to do? It happens. Sometimes you make a deck and it doesn't do great. And sometimes you bring an armory deck to your armory and destroy everyone. It's just the way the game goes. Still, you learn a lot and you move on. You can't do much about that. Anyways, I've been the Mad Mechanologist. This is my deck tech. If you're an aspiring Datadol player, I hope this helps you. It's a fun deck and not that expensive outside of, getting your adaptive plating. Besides that, yeah, go for it. And hope your games are better than mine. That's all I can say. As for me, I'm going to move on to new pastures. An old man with armor is calling my name, and honestly, he's been kind of fun to play. And I think I'm going to try him for a while. Funny story about my skirmish before I end this. Ocilio won my skirmish. My friend plays Ocilio. He loves playing Ocilio. He's probably the best Ocilio player in my area, if not the whole North America. This dude loves playing Ocilio, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the best ones. He won the skirmish, and he won against... Not only did he win against Blaze, he also won against Aurora, which he lost to in the Swiss. And I don't know, he also got the first round bye. So I guess victory was in his hands from the beginning. Ocilio, man, I really want to try that hero. Anyways, I've been rambling. I've been the Mad Mechanologist rambling about Ocilio instead of Datadol. I'm going to clean up my mess up, rebuild this deck real quick, put it on the shelf, and move on to greener pastures. Have a good day. I'm going to go work on something else.